Dave Saldana is with us, the producer director of Pipe Lies Exposed. Pipe Lies Exposed. Which is it? Org is the website, right, Dave?
Yes, sir.
Hey, great to see you again.
Good to be here, Tom.
So, fake veterans organizations?
That's correct.
What's the story here?
Well, you and your listeners might have heard last week several members of Congress, including Senator John Hoeven, Representative Lee Terry, and some others, had a press conference on Capitol Hill last week. And in it, they announced, among other things, that veterans support Keystone XL. Some of the other folks who were there with them were executives from the American Petroleum Institute and from TransCanada, the Canadian company that is condemning U.S. farms and ranches to put their pipeline across farmland that has been in families for generations. But what struck me is that this organization of veterans was represented by a retired admiral named Don Loren, and he spoke on behalf of veterans everywhere, which struck me as most unusual. So I did a little digging. This organization is called Vets for Energy. That's Vets for Digit 4 Energy. Mm-hmm. And I checked their website, and there's no information about who they are, where they come from, what their where they get their funding. The reporter from the Omaha World Herald apparently asked and was told, we get some of our funding from the American Petroleum Institute, the API, which has spent tens of millions of dollars lobbying for Keystone XL. So I did a little bit further looking, and it turns out they don't get some of their funding from API. Apparently, they get all of their funding from API. And this group of veterans apparently is nothing more than an AstroTurf front group for API, and that its membership seems to be limited to retired admirals and generals who found their way into corporate consulting and board memberships after leaving their military service.
Wow. So if you are a retired military vet of high rank and you'd like to make some money on the side and your politics are right-wing, the American Petroleum Institute may have a job for you?
You know what? I can't say. Because the organization is not a 501c3 nonprofit organization, which is very telling all by itself.
Oh, that's interesting. So they just incorporated a for-profit corporation just to grab the name.
Well, we don't even know that it's incorporated at all.
Wow.
I did a search of American Petroleum Institute, and turns up that they claim in a press release that's on their website, you can look it up, that this is a campaign, in quotation marks, a campaign of the API.
So it might just be a brand name.
Sure.
Or maybe not even a brand. And it might not have even gone that far, although that's a fairly inexpensive and easy thing to do, to register a trademark.
Right. But since it's not a nonprofit, they don't have to publicly file any tax forms. They claim that they're an all-volunteer organization covering all ranks of all branches of the service. But if you look at their website, all you see is admiral, general, retired. Right. You don't see sergeant or corporal or specialist. Or airman or ensign. You see a lot of high-ranking officials.
Amazing. So, what is the state? When you produced Pipe Lies Exposed, what is the state of the lies that are being exposed? What are some of the more egregious things that you're discovering?
Well, we see a lot of them coming out through this Vets for Energy organization. One is that, they claim on their website that they believe that energy security equals national security. Well, I agree with that. I strongly agree with that. However, they seem to claim, and they claim outright, that in order to secure our nation, we need to create Keystone XL. Well, as you can see in Pipe Lies Exposed, the documentary, and the written report that's available on prwatch.org, that they're actually creating Keystone XL, if it goes through, is not to bring America to the United States. Bring oil to the United States. They're already bringing tar sands oil into the U.S. It's to get it to an export facility, right? The Gulf Coast refineries in Port Arthur, Texas, and Houston, Texas, where Keystone XL is dumping its tar sands oil. Well, those are tax-free international trade zones, right? So they can export oil from there without paying a dime in taxes. That's the whole point.
Oh, I knew it was all about get it down to the Gulf Coast, refine it there so that we keep the poisons, we keep the cancers, we keep the asthmas, and then ship the diesel fuel and gasoline offshore and make a profit at it. And by the way, by doing so, by diverting oil from the refineries in the Midwest down there for export, you're actually reducing the availability of gasoline and diesel fuel in the United States. So you jack up the price, you make the diesel and gas business more profitable in the United States, plus you get to export it. I figured that much out just by looking at the situation, but I didn't realize that we had designated basically little Hong Kongs. I mean,
basically, yes.
Where you just export things and not pay any kind of that's mind-boggling.
Right, they're free trade zones, which means that import and export taxes are virtually nothing, if not nothing at all.
When did that happen?
That's been an ongoing thing for at least a decade, if I'm recalling correctly. Whoa. Don't take that to the bank.
Yeah, no, it's just that's mind-boggling. I'm going to have to do a little digging on that. And if you do any and you find anything out, would you let me know, and I'll pass it along. So the imperative from their point of view, obviously, is to make money. To hell with the United States, and and
the U.S. Tom is exporting oil. We're exporting oil from the United States.
It was our number one export last year. Our number one finished product export was diesel fuel and gasoline, refined oil.
So we don't need to bring in oil from anywhere else. We've got more than we need. So anybody who's trying to sell Keystone XL by saying we need it for our own energy independence is just deluded or lying.
Yeah. Now, I read a piece over the weekend about, maybe it was this morning, I think it was in the New York Times, in fact, about how Canada has started an aggressive lobbying campaign in the United States. And in fact, I took the metro in today. I took the subway. And in the Union Station metro station, there's all these billboards of, Canada is America's energy partner. And, they're sponsored by the Canadian government. Is it Mr. Harper who's the prime minister now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Stephen Harper came from Alberta. He cut his political teeth in Alberta, which some of your listeners may know, is the home of Canadian oil. The tar sands are in northern Alberta. Both Edmonton and Calgary are huge economic hotspots in Canada, and it's all around petroleum.
Right, and he's spending. He got their Congress, their Parliament, to appropriate some tens of millions of dollars, 30 or 46 in my head, but whatever it was, some mind-boggling amount of money to spend here in the United States. Mm-hmm. And this reminds me, in the Citizens United dissent that was written by Justice Stevens back in 2010, he said this decision, if this were World War II, this decision would give the Japanese government the right to locate a Tokyo Rose in the United States and lobby members of Congress. And it's like we have this is a foreign government and a foreign corporation using the United States as a waste disposal site and nothing more, really.
I hadn't heard it put in those terms, Tom, but that is a fantastic description.
And they are using a Supreme Court decision, Citizens United, and the ones that led up to it, that preceded it, particularly Buckley and First National Bank. They're using these decisions to modify, to affect the American political process in a way that doesn't benefit Americans. In fact, it harms Americans. But it benefits Canada and Canadians, and it's going to benefit the people who get the exported diesel fuel and gasoline, which is presumably going to be the UK, some European countries, China, Mexico, some parts of Mexico, some parts of South America, Brazil.
Right. Don't forget those 50 full-time workers who will have pipeline jobs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 50 people. It's
50.
Yeah, Right.
At the
Well,
risk of millions of U.S. agricultural jobs.
I know. And then I see these ads on TV where they say Bill Clinton supports it. So does George W. Bush. You know, they're it's and at the end of the commercial it says Trans Canada. You know, and I'm like, oh, doesn't anybody get it? This is a foreign company. They're running these ads like crazy here in Washington D.C. You know, any member of Congress who watches TV, and they're running them on MSNBC. They're running them on everywhere. And you know, any member of Congress who watches TV is being indirectly lobbied because, frankly, I mean, here in D.C. we don't even have a voting member of Congress, so it's not like they're trying to lobby us. I don't think.
Right. You know, Tom, as troubling and disturbing as that is, I'm sort of viscerally disgusted by them using veterans to advance their agenda. That's
that's one of our last sacred cows is a bad metaphor, but one of the last institutions that most Americans have a lot of respect for is our veterans. Institution is the wrong word. You know what I mean? Dave Saldana. The website is pipeliesexposed.org. Thanks, Dave.